So, how are you all doing? It's Lisa Lazuli here, and we are looking forward to June. Looking forward in the sense of wondering what the planets are going to be up to, what are the major events. So, I have another vlog where I talk about the strawberry moon that's happening on the 11th of July, and there's also another one where I talk about Saturn's entry into Aries that's happening just a few days ago at the end of May and how that's going to impact us all. But let's look at June specifically. Now, what's interesting me is Jupiter's moving into Cancer, and as it does so, it's square the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which isn't exact, but they're very close to each other in Aries. So it does bring a lot of determination, because Jupiter moving into Cancer has a huge impetus to make money, and Cancer is a sign that always is kind of egging things forward. Nothing stands still. And Aries, obviously, we know as another cardinal sign like Cancer, is a motivated, good self-starter and keen to get into the engine room of life. And so what I feel with Jupiter triggering those and going into Cancer is it's a real kick up the backside for us all to make some things happen, develop a little bit more financial security, perhaps find a new side hustle, just explore more, get more out of the financial side of our life, perhaps work a little bit hard on projects to get them over the line, or start some really big long-term project. So my mission for you all in June is think about an area in your life where you feel unsatisfied, that's kind of emotionally draining you, because you're looking at this area of your life and thinking, what the hell's going on there? Why is this just not delivering? And now you can kind of do some work on it. So that's one of the good things. Now, Jupiter moving into Cancer is a distinctly more emotional transit of Jupiter. It'll be in Cancer for a whole year, and this is a time for a emotional reboot. So it's a great time to have conversations with ourselves so that we understand where emotionally things are lacking or deficient, so we can become a little bit more in tune with our emotions and our natural rhythms and play to that. Now, one of the things why a lot of people go wrong in life or have a lot of stress is they forcing themselves to go with a flow that's not naturally conducive to them. We all have our unique ways of reacting, of being, things that truly interest us or inspire us. And then there are other times which we go along with the crowd or do things because we feel perhaps that it should work for us, but it just isn't. So what's key right now is that being honest about what isn't working, or when you feel there's an emotional mismatch, and just realigning yourself with some goals or activities or relationship rituals that actually do give you a sense of peace, of thinking, phew, relieved, that worked, that was good, rather than feeling a constant sense of frustration and exasperation. So one thing I should say about Jupiter in Cancer is it's not good for dieting. So if any of you are thinking of starting a brand new diet in the next sort of year, well, I don't know, think twice or something, or well, you don't have to think twice. It doesn't mean you have to can diets altogether, but you just have to work at them in a slightly different way. Because with Jupiter in Cancer, austerity doesn't work. It doesn't work in the rest of our lives, as well as it doesn't work in health. So diets around that induce cravings, where you're doing a lot of calorie counting, or whether you have to be really strict with yourself, are far less likely to work. But if it's a diet based on more of a philosophical approach to food, or that matches in with a brand new lifestyle change, that is going to be successful. What you also need to do, and I think the analogy with diets is actually really good, because if you think about it, you've got to find everyone's different, So while paleo is great for some people, eat for your blood type is good for others, yeah, calorie counting works for some. You've got to find the kind of diet plan that really suits your personality. And Jupiter is saying that in all walks of life, you need to go with your natural personality, your rhythms, and find things to do that work with your emotional responses. And so clearly we can see that with diets and food. You need to take a holistic, all-round approach that certainly incorporates your attitude to stress. Because with Jupiter in Cancer, what we all should be looking for is to minimize stress and to see stress as an enemy, both in terms of scuppering weight loss plans because we get stressed out and therefore want to eat more or want to throw it in the bin. And also in terms of other things in life. If you are maybe on Tinder and trying internet dating and it's not working for you, maybe that doesn't suit your spiritual makeup or the kind of attitudes that you naturally possess, and you need to move away from it. So just try and be honest about your natural responses to things, because Jupiter in Cancer is very intuitive. It's very much about attaching to those innate responses that we have to people, to life, understanding the intuitive feelings we've got, and not trying to be square pegs, pushing ourselves in round holes just because we think that's going to work. Don't force. And avoid stress as much as possible. Now, I know it's a stressful life, okay? Part of being on this planet means you have to deal with really irritating things, bureaucracy and government and paperwork and which is, if you're like me, you would hate all that sort of stuff. But you want to what you don't want to do is take on anything else that's going to increase stress. So the other thing I think it's important with Jupiter squaring Saturn as it goes into Cancer is we've got to tear it up, break it up, shake it up, baby, right? So it's time to get back to the drawing board on certain things. Saturn going into Aries represents a brand new cycle for Saturn, and it should represent a time where certain things just have to go, not back to the drawing board, maybe just in the bin, and we need to start again with a whole new game plan. So don't be afraid right now of admitting that something failed. Sometimes it's better just not to double down. It's better to step back, have a rethink, think, is there anything about this particular thing that I'm doing that's salvageable? Or do I just need to scrap the whole thing and find a way to move on? Because Jupiter square Saturn represents an awesome time for beginning to build momentum towards a new goal, a new business, or a new sort of money-making opportunity. But sometimes you have to kind of scale back, cut back, and do some sorting out in your mind first before you can really capitalize on that opportunity. It also means that in relationships, you have to understand that you can only go so far at one phase. Sometimes 3 steps forward and a step back to reassess before you move forward again. So in relationships, again, don't force. You've got to take on that Cancerian crab-like zigzag motion to your goals, remaining determined because Saturn is in Aries, but also being patient and not wedded to a particular outcome, because what these transits do is they'll keep forcing you to evaluate your mindsets and say, am I being too narrow? Am I limiting myself to such a kind of narrow or pedantic or kind of parochial vision of what I can be or what my relationships can be? Because a narrowness in vision can also be a limiting factor. Don't forget, Jupiter squares Neptune as well as it goes into Cancer. And what's really important with that is to remember to hold on to the vision, where part of manifesting is having those vision boards, both mentally and perhaps physically around you, being able to picture the outcome, and also using your imagination and your self-talk to create a serene internal energy, totally stepping away from negative self-talk, and also understanding nuance, coincidences, serendipity. Not everything right now that's important is necessarily logical. So pay attention to any vibes, feelings you're picking up, any ideas that are coming into your head. They don't all have to be sort of linear in progression. Sometimes it's important to jump from thing to thing, to do not so much multitasking, but multi-dimensional thinking and an approach to a problem, a little bit of logic, a little bit of intuition, a little bit of inspiration. And remember, with everything, guys, Rome wasn't built in a day. And so what? It's Rome. It's fantastic. It's creative. It's a really important culture in terms of our philosophy as well. So keep that in mind. You are building a new Rome for yourself. And that means also a new philosophy for your life, a new range of beliefs on which to build your foundation, beliefs that don't limit you, but that inspire you and constantly motivate you.